Okay, let's jump into the deep dive. We're cracking open a stack of sources you've sent our way. And the topic today is pretty fascinating. The ninth labor of Hercules.
Exactly. But we're not just, retelling the story. These texts really dig into the esoteric side, the deeper meanings, and they draw some, really interesting lines to things like Freemasonry, Jacob's Ladder, arithmetic even.
Arithmetic, okay.
Yeah, and the tarot card, the hermit. It's quite a mix.
Right. So our goal, like always, is to sort of cut through the complexity, pull out the core ideas, find those connections maybe you wouldn't spot right away. Think of us as guides helping you navigate what these texts are putting forward.
Sounds good. So let's start with the basics, the myth itself, the ninth labor. King Eurystheus tells Hercules, right, go get the girdle of Hippolyta.
Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. And these sources paint a picture of the Amazons as, well, fierce. Warrior women, disciplined, totally focused on battle, very independent.
And this girdle wasn't just any accessory. It was a symbol of her authority, her queenship, a gift, apparently, from Ares, the god of war. So, highly prized.
Definitely not something you just ask for nicely, you'd think.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. According to one version in these sources, when Hercules actually arrives, Hippolyta meets him, and she's surprisingly willing. She actually agrees to give him the girdle.
Okay, that sounds too easy for Hercules. There has to be a catch.
There usually is.
Yeah.
And it comes in the form of Hera. Never his biggest fan.
Right. Always meddling.
Always. She disguises herself, goes among the other Amazons, and starts spreading this rumor. Totally false, saying Hercules isn't just there for the girdle, he plans to kidnap the queen.
Classic deception. And you can imagine how the Amazons reacted to that.
Exactly. Fury. They felt betrayed, threatened, so they attack Hercules and his men.
Leading to this massive, brutal battle.
Right. And the sources differ a bit on the exact ending, whether he kills Hippolyta in the fight or, forces her surrender to get the girdle. But the point is, it ends in violence, all stemming from that lie, that manipulation.
Okay, so that's the story most people might know, the surface level. But these sources, they're pushing us deeper. Let's get into that symbolism they're talking about.
Yeah, this is where it really opens up, that girdle. It's way more than just a belt. In a lot of ancient traditions, a girdle represents authority, sure, but also initiation. Spiritual power, even.
Okay.
Hippolyta herself embodies this powerful, independent force. Martial skill, but also sovereign command. And the girdle, from Ares, it symbolizes that disciplined strength, yes, but also the sacred feminine's power to lead through wisdom and force.
So when Hercules goes to claim it, it's not just conquest.
Not according to these interpretations, no. It's more like an initiation. He has to prove he's worthy of that kind of integrated power. It's about balancing disciplined strength with the wisdom to use it right.
Like a spiritual test.
Exactly. It mirrors the path of an initiate meeting discipline, self-control, finding that balance before you can attain real mastery.
And what about the Amazons themselves, symbolically?
They're seen as this untamed, self-sufficient force outside the usual patriarchal structures. Esoterically, they can represent the unbridled parts of the anima.
The anima, the feminine aspect within the male psyche.
Precisely. And if that force isn't understood or integrated, it can seem dangerous or chaotic. So Hercules' task isn't just to defeat it, but to harmonize with it, integrate it, not just destroy.
Okay. So the fight is internal too, balancing that powerful, maybe wild inner energy.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember that version where Hippolyta was initially willing? These sources suggest that symbolizes her recognizing his potential for this spiritual growth, like he was ready to integrate this power.
Until Hera interfered.
Right, and Hera's role here is huge, her deception. The texts see it as representing all those forces, internal and external, that resist our growth, our enlightenment.
They're like obstacles on the path.
Exactly. She's the great adversary, in a way, setting up trials to make sure the initiate is truly ready, truly worthy.
Wow, that reframes the whole conflict, doesn't it?
Completely. The battle isn't just swords and shields, it's psychological, spiritual. The Amazons become symbols of Hercules' own fears, his doubts, the unbalanced parts of himself.
So the labor tests whether his strength is just brute force or if it's connected to wisdom and inner control.
Precisely. And Hera's lie brings in this theme of illusion. Maya, you might call it.
Seeing through the deception.
Yes. Just like an initiate has to learn to tell truth from falsehood on their path, Hercules has to see through Hera's trick. Winning, getting the girdle, means cutting through that illusion. And the girdle itself then becomes the symbol of binding wisdom and strength together.
Uniting them.
Yes, allowing the adept, the one who's achieved mastery, to bring order to their inner world.
This sounds a lot like that Hermetic idea,
Okay.
the reconciliation of opposites.
That's exactly what these sources connect it to. The Amazon's that powerful, maybe untamed feminine energy, Hercules' disciplined masculinity. Their encounter, whether it starts peacefully or violently, is a necessary step towards integrating these forces. Kind of symbolic alchemical marriage.
A union within the self.
Right. Getting the girdle is like achieving gnosis, that direct, intuitive understanding. It's about integrating those inner dualities, masculine, feminine, chaos order, into a higher, unified state. That's the mark of the adept.
Okay, that's a really rich interpretation of the labor itself. Now, these sources branch out, connecting this to other systems. You mentioned Virgo.
Yeah, the zodiac sign Virgo. It's often linked with purity, wisdom, service, meticulousness, perfection, ruled by Mercury. So it connects to intellect, communication, discernment, order, duty.
Discernment and order seem key here, after talking about illusion and inner chaos.
Definitely. And mythologically, Virgo's tied to goddesses of justice, harvest, virtue, qualities needed for that inner ordering.
And the sources place all this thematically on Jacob's ladder, the fourth rung.
Yes, specifically the fourth rung. And in the tradition presented in these sources, that rung is identified with arithmetic.
Arithmetic. Like math.
Well, yes, but presented more as the fundamental building block, the beginning of quantifying, structuring, understanding the world in an ordered way, basic order.
Okay, so structure, order. And the tarot card they link to this rung in arithmetic is the Hermit.
The Hermit, exactly.
Yeah.
And it fits perfectly, doesn't it? The Hermit embodies that inward journey, seeking wisdom, needing solitude for self-understanding, reflection, patience, finding inner guidance.
Let's look closer at the Hermit card's symbolism as these texts laid out. The figure itself.
Usually an old man, right? Suggesting wisdom, experience, knowledge gained over time. And he's wearing this long robe, maybe a hood, speaks to solitude, contemplation, withdrawing from the world to look inward. The classic image of the sage.
And the lantern he holds.
Ah, the lantern. Key symbol. Illumination, guidance. And crucially, inside it, there's often a star or some light source.
Meaning the light comes from within.
Exactly. The light of wisdom, truth, understanding, it's internal. That inner spark, divine guidance, showing the way through confusion.
He also has a staff.
Right. For support, stability, guidance on the path. It's a tool for the journey, symbolizing spiritual strength too. He might be solitary, but he's not entirely unsupported.
Yeah.
He has inner resources, maybe higher guidance.
And often he's on a mountaintop.
Yeah, representing that high, solitary path of spiritual seeking, enlightenment. From up there, you get a better perspective, right? Detached from the everyday noise below. It signifies growth, elevation, reflection.
The cloak being dark also seems significant.
Reinforces the retreat from the world, rejecting external stuff to focus on the inner work. Simplicity, focus on the spiritual, not the material.
And that star inside the lantern really stands out.
It's central, that inner light of wisdom. The message is clear. True illumination, the answers, the peace you find it by looking inward, deep reflection.
Some sources mention the landscape too, maybe snow-covered or barren.
Yeah, and that adds to the feeling of purity, silence, stillness. Think of winter's quiet. It reinforces that need for solitude and introspection. Deeper truths often surface in that kind of quiet contemplation.
Okay, so pulling it all together now. The ninth labor, the girdle.
It becomes a symbol of divine authority, yes, but also discipline, and integrating that sovereign feminine power within. The conflict with Hera highlights that struggle between illusion and truth, needing control amidst chaos.
And the key esoteric point is confronting that inner feminine, the anima.
Right, not through brute force, but by integrating strength with wisdom, finding that balance. The girdle symbolizes achieving that balance, that inner marriage of opposites, essential for the adept.
And the connection to something like Freemasonry, according to these sources.
Is that true? Mastery demands that introspection, reconciling those internal forces, uncovering hidden conflicts within yourself. Hera's role is a reminder. You got to pierce through illusions, stay centered, even when things get chaotic, externally or internally.
And then Jacob's ladder, arithmetic, the hermit.
That fourth rung, arithmetic, is about ordering the world, understanding its structure. The hermit embodies that same process, but directed inward, seeking spiritual insight through solitude, reflection, patient wisdom, guided by that inner light, that discernment.
So the big takeaway seems to be that real inner strength isn't just power, it's balance, clarity, discernment.
Absolutely. Advancing on this path means integrating everything, your intellect, emotions, will, spirit. You don't just take the girdle. You have to transform inwardly to truly earn it.
It's amazing how layering these different symbolic systems onto the myth opens up so much depth. This deep dive has certainly been revealing.
It really has. And the sources leave us, and you listening, with a couple of interesting questions to chew on.
Yeah, things to reflect on based on all this. First, how do you personally navigate balancing assertiveness, your own strength in leadership or relationships, while also maintaining respect and understanding for the other person? Where's that line for you?
Hmm. And maybe hitting closer to the Hera part of the story. What assumptions or misunderstandings, maybe yours, maybe someone else's, might need a clearer look, need clarification in your interactions right now?
Good questions. Definitely food for thought. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.